Hey there, what's going on? Basi here, back again with another new video. And in this video, we are going to explore React Navigation version 6 in React Native. And this is what we will be building throughout this entire video. As you can see, there's this simple login screen with email and password input. And down below right here, there are some buttons that's gonna allow us to navigate to different screens. Now, if I click on Forgot Password, it's gonna navigate to Forgot Password screen. Likewise, if I click on sign up, it's gonna navigate to register or sign up screens. And in addition to navigating, I've also covered how to pass data between the screens as well. So in this case, if I click on forgot password, it's gonna navigate to forgot password screens and it's gonna pass the data and set it as the header title. In this case, this title is going to be dynamic and it's going to change depending on what value or params you're passing from login screen into here. All right, so it's very simple. Forgot password screen and register screen. And in this video, we are not going to cover authentication dealing with state, Redux, context API, or anything else. The only intention of this video is to just cover React Navigation and creating custom bottom tab navigator, stack navigator, and creating custom drawer navigator. All right, so perfect. Now, if I click on login, it's going to navigate to home screen. And this is the home screen with a customized bottom tab navigator. And it's got 4 other screens, starting with home, just a simple screen wallet. You can see the title and the text of that is changed, likewise the notifications, and finally the settings screen. And there are 2 things going on in here. The first thing is that this is a nested navigator stack within this navigator. All right, and if I click go back, it's going to go back. And likewise, if I click this hamburger menu right at the top right corner, if I click on that, it's going to show up this customized drawer navigator. As you can see, there's this cover in the photo along with some other links to different screens. All right, so without any further ado, let's dive right into it and translate this to code. Okay, so I have already created this simple template and added the source directory within here. You can find the link for this template in the description section below. I put the link for the GitHub repository as well, so you can code along with me. You can see there are the assets directory, likewise the constants and the screens directory. Within assets, I followed some React Native file structure as well. So how you would structure your files and folders if it was a real project. In this case, I'd like to put all the assets, icons, JPEGs and stuff within the assets directory in source. And there are some constants. So in here, there are just a little bit of pre-configuration. So the colors, we are just exporting an object with different colors that we'll be using throughout this entire video. Then there are images with their path to their respective image. Then routes.js, we'll be using this. And finally, the index.js. So this index.js, I created it. As you can see, I've imported all of those other files and export them all at once. And this could, especially when we don't want to manually type every single file's path. So more on that later, all right? And then there are the screens directory. So it got 2 other folder, which the auth and the home directory. And within the auth, I'd like to add all the screens that doesn't require authentication. And within home, all the screens that requires authentication. And I've also added some packages which are pretty much straightforward to install. You can do it yourself or just do a yarn add an install or npm install from the template. But just in case if you want to start from your own template, so you can see I've also added this React Native vector icons, SVG, and the React Native linear gradient. All right, so with that being said, let's now run this in the terminal. All right, I'll do yarn start. Okay, so sounds like this service is already in use. All right, now retrying yarn start. And followed by that, here I'll do yarn iOS. Let's put this side by side in here. As you can see, this is very straightforward and simple. In the middle of the screen, you can see there's this app text. And if I go to app.js, I replaced all the text and stuff within the default app.js and replaced it with a simple text that's wrapped by safe area view, and added just some styles to put it in the center. Now let's go and install the React Navigation version 6, the stack, bottom tab navigator, and customize them. All right, so I've already opened some tabs right here as we are going along. Here in reactnavigation.org, you want to go to getting started, and down below here in the installation section, I'm using Yarn, so I'll just copy that, and then opening the terminal, and down below paste that to install React Navigation Native. So this is gonna take a while. All right, so that's perfect. This one is installed, and now we need to install the dependencies of that. So depending on the structure of your React Native project, if you're using Expo, you may want to go with this one with Expo install, but since we are using bare React Native project, so I'll go with the Yarn here, copy that, and then paste it right here and install the dependencies. All right, going back in here as it's going to install that, you can see it also requires us to install the pod files as well if you are developing for the iOS. So I'll just copy that, and back in here, let's paste it in and install this as well. So it's going to install all the pod files. As you can see in a bit, it's going to show those dependencies list right here. These were the dependencies of React Navigation Native, and now their pod files are generated. And as the final step, if you are going to do this Android development as well, then within the main activity.java, we are located at this location. You want to copy this, and then let's just close this off. Go to Android, app, source, main, and Java. Followed by that, the main activity.java. And then right here down below, paste that in, let's indent it. And also don't forget to import the OS bundle as well. So all the way up until here. Now we are done with the pretty much basic configuration, and now the final step is that we just need to wrap our app within this navigation container. The navigation container, we use it mainly to do all the state management of the navigation and stuff like that, and to do deep linking. All right, so I'm just gonna copy this, and then heading back to, let me collapse this and go back to app.js. So pasting that in here. All right, well, actually, I'd like to keep this one, paste it right there, and then copy it, replace that here, then getting this safe area view along with that right here, just paste that in, and also import the safe area view here. So import safe area view from React Native. Perfect, so save it, and then if I go back, it says that text is not defined. Yes, we have to import that. All right, so you can see there are basically no changes, but we prepared the React navigation to be used right now, and now it's ready to be used. All right, so now we're gonna deal with the stack navigator. So back in here to, actually it's not guides, it's this API reference, and down here within the navigators. You can see there are basically two stacks in here. That's the stack and the native stack. There is just a little bit more explanation right here. I believe there it is. So you can pause the video, read it all yourself, or just go to the documentation, read it. So basically you want to use a stack when you want to do more customization, okay? But then this native stack is just a little bit dealing more with the performance issues. So there will be less performance issues in case of native stack. That is it. And now we are going to go with the stack right here, and down here for the installation I'm going to use Yarn, and let's just open the terminal again and paste that in and install the React navigation stack. And followed by that, it also has some dependencies, actually just one dependency, which is this React Native gesture handler, just for handling the gestures. So I'm using Yarn. If you're using Expo, again, you gotta do copy this, but I'm gonna copy this one, and followed by that, paste that in. And we also need to import this React Native gesture handler within the app.js or the index.js. So I'll go just right here. Whoops. Actually, yes, import React Native gesture handler. All right, so that should take a while. And as you can see, it's also stated in the documentation that we have to import that either in index.js or in app.js. So that's perfect. And the last step that we have to do is to do this pod install as well. So this is going to install the pod dependencies for the iOS, and that should be done in a bit. All right, so that's perfect. Now I'm gonna go back here in the source directory. Now I'm gonna create another folder and call that navigations. So whatever navigators that we have, we're gonna place them all within these navigation, be it a bottom tab navigator, drawer navigator, or a stack navigator. They're all gonna go within here. I'm gonna call this auth navigator. So that's it. And let's just create this basic template here, boilerplate actually. Well, you can see down below we have this simple example. Actually, I'm gonna copy this and go all the way here and paste that in. All right, we need to import React at the very top. So import React from React. And then what else do we have to do? You can see these screens are not recognized. So I'll just clear all the adders and just go with this home for now. And then change the name of this to be auth navigator. All right, and need to export default this auth navigator as well. Okay, so that's perfect. You can see that here we imported this create a stack navigator, and then we create an instance of that. And this stack right here, it is going to return an object that includes the navigator, the screen, and also the group. Let me console.log that in here so actually you can see that yourself. So let's put it here, and if I go to the terminal, all right, sounds like we have to restart it. So let's restart that, and here again. All right, this shouldn't take so much time. That error was because of this home right here, which I didn't pay attention to. So first I'm going to import all the screens, which is the login screen. We're going to have the forgot password screen in here, and likewise the register screen as well. We're going to import all of these from the screens like so. And we need to import this constant called routes as well, because this is how we are going to reference to the screens. So importing routes from the constants. There we go. And now the name of the first screen, which is the login screen, I'm gonna call that routes.login. There we go, and copy that, paste it right here. I'll go in great details of why we are doing it this way, but just for now, right here, I'm gonna say import auth navigator. You can see there's this cool autocomplete. So just copy it and then paste it right here. So just replace that in here, and that is it. Now you can see that here the login screen just appeared. And just a little bit detail about this login screen. Well, this is right here, and I've already wrote some basic codes in here. You can get all these codes from the GitHub repository with the link that I've provided down in the description section below for this video. Actually, I didn't want to go in great details of creating this login screen, but at the same time, I didn't want a data screen with some buttons that's gonna go to different screens. I wanted it to look a little bit more realistic. That's why I created this login screens. But the codes are available already in here. They're pretty much straightforward, just a bunch of views within that, like this, the logo and the text input and stuff like that. So you can hopefully do it all yourself. And with that being said, I'm gonna go back to the auth navigator and explain this stack and the navigator, likewise the screens and other stuff. So if I go back here, I'm gonna collapse that. You can see that I told you earlier that this stack is gonna return an object that has this group, the navigator, and the screen. For now, we use the navigator. As you can see right here, there's this stack.navigator. All right, let me just push this down. So then there's this stack.screen. So the job of this navigator is to actually include all the other screens within itself. In this case, all of these screens will be managed by stack navigator, and then we're gonna have this screen options as well. So through this, we can manage all of those. And then there is this stack.screen that has a name. So this will be the name of this screen, and passing in the component that's going to be corresponding to this name and this screen. All right, so hopefully that's pretty much clear, but if you have any question, you can add it in the comment section below. Then there's this forgot password. I just copy the screen for forgot password as well. Then there's routes.register, and the component for that is this register screen right here. All right, and this stack.navigator, it also accepts this initial route name. Let me actually get rid of that first and put this a little bit above there, and let me just refresh this and reload that. Now you can see the forgot password is on top. So basically the stack works as such that these are a bunch of screens that are stacked on top of each other. Whatever comes first, it goes first. So how do you explicitly say that, hey, this is the screen that I want it to be always at the top? So for that purpose, you're gonna write in this initial route name and say that it's gonna be routes.login. Perfect. And now if I go back here, well, again, I need to reload that. So you can see that login screen is back again at the top. Now let's also add some navigations, so we can navigate to forgot password and sign up. As you can see right now, these are dead links and it's not gonna work. So I'm just gonna close that. Here is the login.js screen, and remember that any screen that's passed within this stack.navigator is gonna get this navigation from here. Navigation. This is gonna come as props. You can do it this way or just destructure it. Props, and there's this navigation and props. Perfect. So here we destructure that, and now in the forgot password, I'm gonna just simply say on press and specify that open clicking that we want to navigate to routes dot forgot password. Save it. And how do we know it is routes.forgot password? Because here we specified that this forgot password route is going to be corresponding to this forgot password component. So now if I go back here and click on forgot password, you can see there's this cool animation that's going to go to forgot password. All right, so now let's do and make some changes to it. I'll go back to the Auth Navigator. Let me close these. So now what we need to do is to do some additional configuration for the Auth Navigator, because we want to change the title of the header and do other stuff. So I can simply say header style, and then specify that its background color is going to be colors.primary. All right. Well, I believe that, whoa, that's supposed to be a semicolon. So now if I go back here and click that, you can see that now the color is changed to this color. And let's also change the color of these text too. So that is down here, it is header tint color, and colors.white. All right, now if I go back, you can see the color is changed right there as well. If you don't want this login text right here, or you just want to change the name of that, you can do that as well. So there are a lot of these things. If I type in header, you can see these auto completion. You actually don't need to memorize code. This is how auto completion can help you. You can see header back title, and I'm gonna set it to be back. Earlier it was login. I'll show you in a bit. All right, now you can see it's changed to back. If I just comment that out, you see it's now login. All right, so we don't want that. If you don't want it, then you can see header back visibility. No, it was header back title visible, and set that to false. So now you can see that is gone. All right, so that was it for this one. And now let's also pass some params from login, assuming that we want to pass in some data in here. And that could be like, for example, the user ID. Let's write some mumbo jumbo here, like x001, the one that we go with that earlier. All right, so user ID is now passed in here as params. And the way that you want to set that params as the title right here for the forgot password. So in here, I'm gonna pass in these options and say that it's gonna also take this routes as well, so need to pass that in. And then down here, perfect. So I'll say the title for this one is going to be that route.params.user ID. All right, and if I save it and go back here, click on forgot password. All right, it says that route.params.user ID is not defined. Well, it is actually user ID. I believe that this has to be destructured. Well, now what? If I go back and click that, you can see that it's working. Yeah, I forgot to actually destructure that right there. So now it's working perfectly fine. And now the title is visible right there. And if you want this title to be shown in the screen as well, you can simply go back here and forgot password, and then simply import the, is that it? Yep. So you need to import this thing called as use route from the React Navigation native, and then right here you can say const of route that's equal to use route. So we are using this hook and showing it down in here. So let's say params, and this is route.params.user ID. So now if I go back here, you can see that the params is being shown in here as well. And in the forgot password, well, in the login, excuse me, you can also get this navigation using the hooks as well. So it's use navigation, and down here, if I comment this out, and say const of navigation that's equal to use navigation, like so. So both of these methods are gonna work. If I go back and click back again, you can see it's working as well. All right, now the last thing is if I just click on sign up. Well, actually, I haven't linked it yet, so let's go back to login.js and do the same thing for the sign up screen as well. So right here, paste that, and this is gonna navigate to sign up, or let's call this register. All right, I'm not gonna pass in any params or anything like that for now. Now, if I click on sign up, you can see it just navigated to register screen. But there is this thing that you can notice that changes which I made in the header is also applied in here as well in the register screen. Now, if you want that changes to be only applied to forgot password screen, what you could do is actually cut all of these from here and then paste it down below in here. All right, so now if I go back, you can see this register screen don't have that primary color. However, the forgot password has got all of those things in there. So this was just an indication for you to know how this screen options work. Any configuration that you put in screen options is going to get applied to all the other screens that are nested within that. However, if you want a specific style to be applied only to one screen, then you want to go with the stack.screen, each of those individually, and pass them in the options. All right, so that's it. And now let's go and make this bottom tab navigator to work. All right, so for that, we need to install this bottom tab navigator. And likewise, you can see we had this stack and native stack. We have bottom tabs and the material bottom tabs. Well, you can see from its style basically how the material design works, but we want this bottom tabs. I have already worked with material bottom tabs. It's not that customizable. If you want to make those changes, this is not the way to go. If you basically want this kind of style, you should go with that. All right, so let's copy this and open the terminal, paste that in. This is going to install the React Navigation bottom tab navigator, and then down here you can see I was expecting some dependencies, but no, it's just simple as that. So I'll just copy this, some basic setup for tabs, and then close that. As I told you guys earlier that we are going to add all the navigator within this navigation directory. So this one is bottom tab navigator. You can call this home navigator as well, but just for purpose to make it more clear, I'm gonna call that bottom tab navigator. And don't forget to import React as well. And likewise, let's call this bottom tab navigator, and then export this as well down here, export default bottom tab navigator. All right, why we are getting this error? All right, now that's cool. So we need to also import some of the screens that we'll be using for the bottom tab navigator. In this case, I need to import the home, let's say from the screens, so we get some autocomplete. All right, the wallet, the notifications, I believe, and finally the settings. So these are the 4 settings that's gonna go in the bottom tab navigator. I'm gonna also import the routes as well from the constants. Save that, and now we need to get rid of that. Like the stack navigator, this tab right here where we are using this create bottom tab navigator, this function from React Navigation bottom tabs is going to return a navigator, a screen, and a group as well, like I show you guys in the first navigator, stack navigator. All right, so we're using this tab.navigator in here and naming the screen. Let's call this routes.home _ tab, and the component for that, it is home. All right, and the next one is called as wallet, and the component for that, it's wallet. Replace that with wallet. And likewise this one, it is notifications, and the component for that is notifications. And then there is this one, it's called settings, and the component for that is settings, like so. Let me just show you guys these screens as well. Click on home, and here this is the home.js. Pretty much simple, just a simple view and passing in the home, likewise notifications. And then there is this settings. Settings has got some more stuff in it, like this button right here. It's pretty much straightforward. You can get the link and the code for that in the description section below, the link for that. All right, and then there is this wallet. Perfect. So I'll go and close these. Yeah, just one last note in here. You can see that I didn't go and say like import home from the saying that screens /home /home like this. You can see that this index.js right here, where I exported all of those screens. This is creating this big facility for us to don't type the entire path and taking like several lines of code. And this line of code is much easier to understand and to read than all of these, which is going to take like four line in contrast to just that one line. All right, so I'm going to get rid of that. And then we need to specify this bottom tab navigator to the login tab right here. All right, but before that, in the auth navigator, I need to just import that, which is the bottom tab navigator from the bottom tab navigator right there. And then I'm going to create one more screen here, stack.screen. It's got a name, which is routes.home. And the component for that, it's this bottom tab navigator. All right, so now this is not going to work if I click on the login button because we haven't yet configured that. So for that, I'm just gonna go and actually copy this from here and paste it for the login button. This is it. So just simply paste that in here. Right, paste that, and instead of register, now we want to navigate to that screen. So figure rid of that soon as well, and now this should work. All right, closing that. If I click it, it is not working. And why is that? Let's just open it back again. Yeah, we are going to home. This is supposed to be home, right? Because here in the auth navigator, I call the route name to be home. Let's say, wow, it's not working, right? You can see I click that and showing all of these screens, and we got this cool little bottom tab navigator. All right, so now you can see that this tab is working. And just a little bit side note about this authentication stuff. You can see that in here, I clicked in login and it went to here. Obviously, I'm not going to go in great detail about authentication, but actually you also have this option right here to get is authenticated from the store, from the read access store, the context API, and check that whether if the user is authenticated or not. And based on that right here, you want to do like if is authenticated, so we want to show the auth navigator, otherwise we want to show the drawer navigator or anything like that. Okay, so let's just comment this out. All right, so this is just a side note. And likewise, it could also be that in the login, you click in here, you're gonna send an API request, and based on that, you wanna decide if you want to navigate to home or not. All right, just a little bit side note and off topic. Let's just get rid of the auth navigator and start customizing this bottom tab navigator. Let's click that back again. So the first thing that we want to do is, you can see there are two headers in here. One belongs to this tab navigator and the other one belongs from the login or the auth navigator. Actually, I need to get rid of that, and to get rid of that top header right here, you may want to go and type in like that was actually options. So options, and pass in here, say header shown, and set this to false. Well, why is that? Yeah, actually this is supposed to be within two of these curly brackets, and now you can see one of those headers is gone. And at the same time, I also don't want this header as well. So how do I get rid of this header? Is that in here in the screen options, I'm gonna go and say that header shown and set this to be false. Now save it. If I go back, you can see that both of those headers are gone, and now we are only left with this bottom tab navigator and their respective screens. All right, now let's just quickly fix these icons as well. So I'm gonna go down here. So in order to fix the icons of the tab navigator in the screens option right here, actually I need to get the route like I did earlier. So this is gonna be like this. Get a route and structure that, this function, and let's also return this object here. Getting it ready. Now it's ready. And we have this tab bar icon. You can see this autocomplete tab bar icon style too. So we need this tab bar icon to actually specify the icons of that tab navigator. All right, so here it takes in the color, the size. There's one more thing I forgot. Okay, so then we go down here and it's going to return an icon. Okay, so we need to first import that icon. So all the way in here, I'm going to say import icon from React native vector icons, and I'm going to use these ion icons. All right, so then down here I need to say this is going to be the icon. Well, it got a name for it, and it's got a size as well, then it's got a color like so. And now we need to decide, I can fill this like to be 22. I would later on tell you why I put this color in here, but for the name of this icon, it has to be conditionally rendered, because if the route is home, so I'm gonna just go here, let's create this variable called icon name, and say if icon, if route.name is equal to routes.home, I believe that was home tab. So if that is the home tab, then we want to return, and now deciding whether it's focused or not. Yeah, I just remembered that that parameter was focused. So getting this whether the screen is focused or not, and based on that we are going to decide which icon to show. In this case you may want to show the home, otherwise this home outline. I also did a little bit of my homework. Actually, I don't have them memorized, like what icon is what for the focus and non-focus screen. So I go just here. I already created these notes in here. I'm just gonna paste it. Where is it? Actually, bottom tab navigator. So paste it right here and save it. Then now I can simply say that this is gonna be the icon name for that. All right, that's perfect. Let me first just go and see if that's working. All right, that's working perfectly fine. So let's now explain what is going on in here. You can see that in here we passed in this route to actually check what route we are in. Like here we are now in settings route. This is the notifications route. So assuming that if this is the notification route, and depending on whether it's focused or not, we're going to decide which icon to show. If it is focused, then we want to show this icon right here that has this filled color within. If I go back, you can see it is not filled. But other than that, if it is not focused, the screen is not focused, it's going to show the outline version of that. Now we also need to change the color of this. Basically, you know, this is the primary color. So you can just do that simply by tab bar active tint color and set that to be colors.primary and save it. Now if I go back here, you can now see that the color of these icons are changed. Earlier I told you why did I pass this color in here. Now if I get rid of that, you can see that this is not going to work. However, if you pass that back again, you'll notice that this is going to work. So that is why when you're dealing with this tab bar icon, so you need to pass in this color and pass that right here as params there. So that was it for the bottom tab bar. And now let's create the drawer as well, and then we'll go and customize the bottom tab navigator and the drawer navigator. Now you can see this is another stack navigator. So if I click that, it's not going to work right now. And if you want this to work, basically it means that this is going to be another stack of screens, because this is the settings screen and that's going to be the details of the settings screen. Well, that is a stack. It creates a stack and it has to be within another navigator. So I'll go here and create another one, call that as settings navigator.js. All right, this is going to be pretty much identical to the auth navigator. So actually I'm going to do this copy paste, and then let's just get rid of these options from here. We just need to now change the name of these components right here. Well, let's see. First one is the settings screen and the second one is the settings detail screens. And now checking if the route, if it is settings, then we want to go with this screens right here. Otherwise, if this is the settings underscore detail, let's go up here, then it's going to be the settings detail screen, getting rid of the rest of that. All right, so now we created this one here. I'm going to also change it to settings navigator. All right, let's just clean all these other stuffs here. Whoops. We need that route right there. Clean that. All right, so now we need to reference the settings navigator into the bottom tab navigator right here. Let me check if I'm correct. So now I'm going to import the settings navigator from here and then just replace that with this one here. Excuse me, with this right there. All right, now save it. And if I go back here and click on login, you can now see that what is wrong. So it says that found screens with the same name nested. Okay, yeah, that's true, because this is called routes.settings and this one is called routes.settings. Basically that's a duplicate, confusing the React navigation. So let's see, what did I create it here? Yeah, this is settings navigator. Actually, I'm gonna go keep the settings right here and change this to settings navigator. All right, so settings navigator, some weird names for the screens, and click that and click this. You can now see that this is now working. But at the same time, I just noticed that this is the settings navigator. For some reasons, you don't want this to be called settings navigator. Rather, you want it to be called only settings. For that to do, you can pass in these options right here and say that tab bar label, I believe, right? Tab bar label and say settings. Now, if I go back, you can see now that's changed to settings. Earlier it was settings navigator. All right, so that's it. As I was changing the name of this label, I remembered that we don't have this bottom tab label as well. So we need to actually get rid of that as well. So tab bar show label and set it to false. Now, if I go back, you can see that those labels are gone. We don't need those labels for now. All right. And the icon for the settings is missing as well. Yeah, for a good reason, because now we changed the name of this settings navigator to this here. Now it's no more settings, it's settings navigator. So now if I go back, that should be working. Perfect. And now we need to make this work. So open clicking, go to settings detail, it just navigates that to the settings detail. That's pretty much straightforward. So we'll go just simply to the settings.js, and then right here, I'm gonna import navigation, and then right here, let's say on pres, and then navigation dot navigate to routes dot settings underscore detail. Why is that not auto completing it? So we need to import routes right here. So now if I click on go to settings detail, you can see that this is working. And going back to settings detail, we need to also set this up. So if I click this, it's going to go back to the previous screen. So in this case, again on pres, and setting this navigation dot go back. So we also need to pass in this as props and destructure that. Now if I click this go back, it's going to go back to the previous screen. Perfect. And likewise for the logout as well. So I will just copy this and then simply paste it right here. Just gonna go to the login screen. All right, so now if I click on logout, there we go. We are back to the login screen. I just realized we don't need this header for the login screen as well. So I'll go to this auth navigator right here, and then passing in the same options that we did for this one here, and paste that in. All right, now you can see that header is gone, and now the settings detail and the logout is working as well. So that's perfect. This is just an example. Basically, in a real world project, you want to clear the state of the application. If it's a Redux, you want to clear the state, clear the tokens and all those other stuff, and just log out the user. So perfect. And now the next step is that we need to create the drawer navigator. So going to the drawer navigator right here, which is this one, this is a gesture, right? So for the installation, right here, I'm gonna copy that, and then going to the terminal and install the drawer. All right, so install the drawer, and then it has some dependencies. Well, that's the React Native gesture handler and React Native reanimated. Earlier, we installed the React Native gesture handler. So this time I'll simply install this React Native reanimated. All right, so clear this out, yarn add React Native reanimated. We just installed this React Native reanimated as well. It says that we have to import this gesture handler, which we already did, and we don't have to do that again. All right, so now we need to copy this from here and create the drawer navigator as well. All right, so this is drawer navigator. Whoops, that's in the screen actually right here. This is the drawer navigator.js. Okay, you could call this a settings navigator or profile drawer or whatever. Just for now, for the purpose of making it a little bit clearer, I'm gonna name them like this. So import React from React right here, and then let's change the name of that to be drawer navigator, like so. And down here, export default the drawer navigator, like so. And this is not gonna work because these screens doesn't exist yet. So just to make it a little bit easier, because I'm a bit lazy, I'm going to use the same screens that I did for this bottom tab navigator. So I'll just copy these from here and back into the drawer navigator. I'm going to paste them in like so. All right, so just a little bit note again about this create drawer navigator. This is a function that's going to create that drawer that we want, and it returns again this navigator, the screen, and the group. I don't know if it returns any other thing in the object, but that's what I know now. All right, so then we have this drawer dot, yeah, you can see in here that there are these objects, the screen, navigator, and group. We need the screen one, and set the name to be routes dot home underscore drawer. All right, so the name of the component for that is again this home right here. Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna get rid of that. And then down here, I'm gonna also create two other screens. This is called wallet drawer, and this one is called the notification drawer. So this is notification drawer, and the name of this one is wallet, and this one is called notifications. We need to do one more thing in here. It's gonna be a little bit more. So we need to import this bottom tab navigator from the bottom tab navigator. You need to copy this and add it in here. So now the bottom tab navigator is going to be nested within this drawer navigator, and then there's this home underscore drawer. You can call this as home underscore tab right now. All right, and then in the auth navigator, which is right here, we need to get rid of this and import the drawer navigator from the drawer navigator. Copy that and paste it right here. Now if I go back and click this, then there we go. This is basically getting us the same result, but with a little bit difference. Now if I click here, whoops, I was expecting that drawer navigator to show up. Well, that's weird. I was wondering why is that not working. So I have to first go here and do yarn start. So this way the server is gonna restart, and then all right, so you can see we are getting an error from the React Native reanimated. So reanimated, this is a package that's responsible for animation. So if I go here and say React Native reanimated and click that, so back in here, it requires some additional configuration. So I'll show you that in a little bit. Why is this zoomed in? So in the installation section right here, you can see that we need to add these plugins. However, if you go here, you can see there is no mention of adding these plugins, but yeah, you have to figure this out. So in babel.config.js right here, we go and add that. So paste that in and get rid of that as well. Perfect. So we have added that plugins. And now if I just go back again, so this time we also need to do this yarn start -- reset cache as well. So it's gonna reset the entire cache because if we don't do that, we're gonna get the same error again. So I'm gonna do yarn iOS again and wait for this to be reloaded. So we are getting this error in here. Module app registry is not a registered callable module. Well, I think that we also need to do this npx-pod install iOS as well. Let's clear that and again do yarn start -- reset cache. Whoops, reset cache and restart it. Down here, again run the iOS. Okay, so it successfully launched the app, and let's hope that this time we don't get any error. But if yeah, perfect, now it works. I click on login. Well, again, this error, but now you can see there is this drawer and also the bottom tab navigator. This working perfectly fine. Okay, so I'm getting that error which says that warning, actually that says there are some names that has same names. Okay, so the bottom tab navigator, I believe this is called home tab, yes, and actually I'm gonna call this as home underscore drawer. Okay, so if I go back and just refresh that, hopefully this time it is gone. Click login and there we go. Now that error is gone. So now let's deal with this header right here. I'm just gonna get rid of this header. So the way you can do that is passing in this screen options right there, and then set this header shown to be false. There we go. So now if I click there, you can see that that header is now gone. And the only way to show that drawer is by dragging your mouse like this. All right. So now we also need to change this background color and make it match the primary color and do other things. So for that, there's this header. You can see this header background header. Yeah, I'm sure it had this active thingy here in it. Let me type in this active. Yeah, that was drawer active background color. So that is colors dot primary, and make sure that the colors are imported from there. We don't need this home, so I'm going to get rid of that just to make it a little bit more clean. And then now this should work. I'm going to also change this header active tint color as well. Active, well, that's drawer active tint color, and change it to colors dot white, like so. And go back and click login. Now if I move it like that, you can see that now this is showing up as well. All right, we also need to pass in some icons for these drawers as well. So again, this is very simple. All you have to do is down here, go to the options and pass in this object with this drawer icon. All right, so this is again gonna get that color, the size and focused, and this is gonna return this icon. Okay, returning the icon name. So I didn't memorize the icon name, so I'll go and use my cheat sheet. Okay, I use this, so I'm gonna get rid of that. And down here there are some weird cheats. Okay, let's go up here and copy that into Drawer Navigator. Am I going to actually replace that with all of these? I don't know, let's do it. Well, let's also import the icon. So that's import icon from React Native Vector icons. I believe in here I use font awesome rather than ion icon. So if I click that, well, let's see, we are getting this error. It was font awesome 5. Now what? All right, no, we didn't install the font awesome 5. Yeah, I think the package is wrong. This is ion icons, I don't remember. Well, now, yeah, that's perfect. So now you can see this is working fine. And there's one more thing that I already did that in my snippets, but actually didn't explain, and that is this title right here. If I just comment this out, likewise this one and the home as well, and if I go back, you can see this is home drawer, wallet drawer, notifications drawer. Well, we don't want that, so that's why we added this title right here. I'm just gonna now name it the way we want it. And also, if you don't want this space between them, so the way you can get rid of that space is right here. You can say header style, yes, and the margin left, set this to a negative value like -20, -30, any value that looks promising. Let's go with -30. It doesn't sound like it's working actually. Yeah, it is. Header, was that header label style? Header label, well, let's do again label. Yeah, that was drawer label style. All right, so now I can say margin left and change it to -25. I go back here and then open this again. Perfect, so now you can see this working just nice. I'm gonna go with -20, so there's just a little bit of room between those. All right, so this is perfect, and now we need to customize the bottom tab navigator and the drawer navigator. So let's do that. This is probably the most interesting part of this project here. So I'll go to the bottom tab navigator, and in order to make this customized, well, there are certain things that we have to do. First of all, I'm gonna go get rid of this default style right here. So I'll say this tab bar style and say it's gonna be styles dot tab bar style, like so. Well, yeah, styles is not recognized because well, we need to first import the style sheet, import style sheet from React Native, and then down here we're going to create this styles here, which is this style sheet dot create, and then right here we can pass in that let's see, what was that, tab bar style. Okay, this is styles. Now what? Yeah, that's gone. So now for the tab bar style, let's see if we don't see any error now. Yeah, perfect. So I'm gonna first of all change the background color for this. In this case, it's colors dot transparent, and this is not gonna work. Basically, we need to position this as absolute. now let's just go back. You can now see that this is working just perfectly fine. You can also notice that we don't want this light dark color there, light gray color, I believe. I'm going to collapse this as well. Change this to be tab bar active tint color. Yes, that's it. And it's colors.dark. Save it. So now, well, inactive tint color. Yeah, inactive tint color. Yeah, this perfect. So colors.dark, this is a little bit better than that. All right, I don't know if it's visible in the video or not, but there is this very transparent or kind of this grayish border top. I'm going to get rid of that as well. So right here, I'll say border top width and set this to be 0. Now that border should be gone as well. So now let's position this from the bottom. Let's say I want this to be like 15, from the right is 10, and also from the left it is 10 as well. All right, so just a little bit of spacing and moving this bottom tab navigator a little bit toward the top. Now that we get rid of this default styles, now it's the time to actually style all of these individually. So for that purpose, I'll go here, and there is this thing called, what was the name? Tab bar button. What was that? All right, so we have to pass that within the options for each of these tab screens individually. So options, and then right here there's this tab bar button. Well, it is called, yeah, actually like this, tab bar. Yeah, that's called as tab bar button. It's gonna take in these props, and I'm gonna create a component. It's gonna be a custom component called custom tab bar button, and passing in all of those props within that in here. All right, and save it. Now this custom tab bar button is not created, so I'll simply go to here in the source directory and create another folder and call this to be components. Save it, and now I'm gonna create another new file and call this custom tab bar button.js. All right, so let's create this and call this C there, and let's import this here. Let's see if this can help. All right, so now if I click there, you can now see that the first one, the button of the first tab.screen, is now replaced with this 4C that we added right here. All right, so time for customizing. So now I'm gonna copy the same thing for all of these other screens, and you might be saying it's not dry and you're repeating yourself, but there's a reason for that. Believe me, I'll tell you that later. All right, I'm gonna just, what did I do? Paste that in here. Okay, perfect. So yeah, that was because in here we don't need to create another options because that was already there. Copy and paste it here. Now if I go back, you can see that this is working, and if I just change it to be only one C, you can see each C represents one of those screens. All right, it looks so terrible. Let's just fix that real quick. First of all, I'm gonna pass in the props and console.log that, or actually you can click that in my computer. All right, let's do it. Yeah, perfect. So option, command, and L in my machine is gonna just create this console.log. If you're looking for the extension for that, actually it's console. So the extension is called turbo console log. All right, now if I go to the terminal, now notice the terminal, it looks like this. So there are certain things right here that we need, and that is this accessibility state that has this object of selected, and then you can see there are these childrens of that, and this is the children. Actually, just notice the children is important. Okay, it got this React fragment, and then it has this tab bar icon, it got this tab bar text and other stuff like that. This is the settings. If you pass this children anywhere, well, that should show up the button. Let me just do it actually real quick in here. I'm gonna pass in this children. Well, before that, need to say children, set that to props. So this way we destructure that, click on login, and now you can see those are back right here. Okay, All right, so we are going to use some of these accessibility state and stuff like that. I don't know if its primary purpose is to actually find the selected button or not, but this is how we are going to go, and it's going to work perfectly fine. So I'm going to get this accessibility state and paste it right here. I don't think we need anything else. All right, so now we need to check if this screen is actually active or not, and based on that we need to show these screens. All right, let me actually open one of the screenshots that I took so it can help us along the way. Yeah, that is it. So we have two type of buttons in here. This is the unselected button and this is the selected button. So the selected button's style is slightly different than the other one. Well, this is looking much cool. So how do we achieve that? Well, basically first we need to figure out if it is selected. So this is this accessibility state dot selected, and then we're gonna pass in this right here. All right, well, actually I need to import this pressable. We want to go with pressable or touchable opacity, but we need to get this and paste that in. All right, so if it is selected, then we want to go with this button. Otherwise, if it is not selected, then let's just duplicate this and show it down here. All right, so now you can see that, why is the click not working? Yeah, that's because it again needs this on press. So getting the on press from the props and passing that in here. So on press is equal to on press, like that. Now if I click on wallet, yeah, now it is working, but it looks so terrible. All right, let's also fix that as well. So in order to fix that, I'm gonna add some styles for both of these buttons. So it's gonna be a styles dot active button, but this one right here, this is not active, is inactive button, and they're both gonna share some styles. Well, let's first make them both active button. I have an idea, active button. So it's gotta have this flex of 1 because we want it to take that available space of it, and then a background color for that to be colors.white. Now save that. If I didn't go back, you can see now that basically is showing up like this in here. Well, we can agree on that it looks terrible and that we need to fix these up. And now for this inactive, this is actually supposed to be for the inactive button. So I'll say inactive button, and then for the active button, there are other styles that has to be applied. So this active button, as you can see in the screenshot, let me just open that again. Well, right here you can see this is the active button, and it has this curve thing down below that here. Well, first of all, let me create that ball right there. So its position is going to be absolute. It's got a width of like, well, not 100%, with a height of 50, and then let's also make this rounded, so it's 50 divided by 2. And then let's add a background color for that as well. In this case, it's colors.white. Save it. What did I do? Let's just go back here, and then let's see. Well, you can see that this is going all the way to this side right there. So now here I'm gonna create this view right here, and then put this within that. All right, and this is gonna be styles.button wrapper, like that. And then so let's just go here and add that button wrapper. This is gonna have this flex of 1, and that also it's gonna position line items to the center. Save it and go back here. Now you can see that it's just taking a little bit of its shape. All right, so now we need to also position this in the center, and there is one more thing that I accidentally set this to be true. In that case, now it is false, and now those are gone, and back into custom tab or button right here. Justify content to the center, and also align the items to the center as well. In this case, that icon should be now in the center. like so. Well, this looks nice, and let's also add some styles. Like from the top, it's like native 20, so it just goes a little bit up like that. All right, I can notice some weird styles right here, but I'll be fixing that in a bit. All right, and now for this touchable opacity, we need to add that bottom curved section right there. And for that, I'm gonna again go to my snippets here and then copy this SVG. Okay, so an SVG that I found from the Stack Overflow. And if I go back here, just pin this Stack Overflow question, you can see there are similar questions, and there are some people who provided some SVGs in here. If I search for SVG, all right, you can see that there are some samples that you can find and use. Well, basically, you can ask your designer to create one for you, or someone who knows how to do it. Okay, so import SVG and the path from React Native SVG, then save it. And now this should work. And if I click on login, you can see that this is working perfectly fine. It's showing up like that. Let's now go and fix this space between those. So I'll go down here and then add a little bit of more space. Like let's go with -24. So this just goes up a little bit toward the top, or maybe -22. All right, so now that looks better. And you can see that in here we added this SVG, but still this SVG is not complete, and we are getting this area, which is this unfilled area around that. And to fill that, we can do this another trick right here. I'm gonna add in this view with a style of styles.gap filler, or let's call this actually SVG gap filler, like that. And then move this up toward the top. Whoops. All right, let's just put it down here and save it. So now if I go back here and log in, well, that's not gonna work. Actually, I just forgot to add some styles for that. So this background color is gonna be colors.white. Now save it, and if I go back here, that was supposedly to work, and probably we didn't add that flex of 1. All right, so now it again seems to be that this is not working, SVG gap filler. That's because right here we need to specify the flex direction to be row. Okay, let's go back, and now you can see that this is working. Earlier, because the flex direction was column, it was not working. And also, just to fix this out, I'm really wondering, it wasn't supposed to be like this. Let's just center this with flex and see if we are lucky. So align items and set this to center as well. Now if I go back, yeah, that's it. So that was the reason why it wasn't working. But I don't know if this is a recent change in React Navigation version 6, but as of last night, I believe this was default center. It wasn't like flex start or flex end, anything like that. Now that's fixed as well. And let's go to bottom tab navigator and add a little bit of height for this. So this is like 80. And now I go back, it really doesn't look any changes is made there. Let's go with negative with 92 there. All right, so now you can see that we are a little bit close to the final demo. So in here, I'll also go and get rid of this touchable opacity. You can see when I click there, this is how it behaves and looks. So I'm just gonna change that with in here. This is actually supposed to be this active opacity. I'm gonna set it to 1 so we don't get that opacity when clicking. All right, so now this works perfectly fine. And as the final step, what we can do is go to the bottom tab navigator and reduce this to be like 90 or maybe 88. If I change that to 88, you can now see that it looks perfectly fine. But in case there is one more thing, because I want to go in as much detail as possible to cover React navigation. In case if you want this like the way it is, and still you want to achieve what you wanted earlier, you can go with this tab bar, and then this is going to be another customized component that you can pass in here. Let me show that. So it's custom tab bar like so, and pass in all the props in here. Again, let's also create this custom tab bar component in the components directory, and then there we go. And now you can see that the entire screen is changed. Probably this custom tab bar is now hidden somewhere here, or there's a mistake. No, actually, I've got to import it. There it is. And now I click on login. Yeah, that is it. So you can see this custom tab bar is right there. And now we need to actually show that. So for that, I'm gonna say import bottom tab bar from the React Navigation bottom tabs, and then paste that right here. All right, along with the props. And then also don't forget to pass in the props here. And now if I go back and click on login, you can see that now it is working. So now we need to style this tab bar button so it goes just a little bit up and cover this area. All right, so in here I'm gonna add this view with style of styles.tab bar, and then let's close that. And then right here there's this tab bar, and let's position this as absolute like so. And then from the bottom, like 15, it's got a height of 20, and then it's got a background color of colors.white. There we go. And now if I go back, let's see if actually that is visible. Well, styles.tab bar, from the bottom it is 15, from the right it is 10, and from the left is also 10. Like so. And now you can see it is showing up right there. Let me actually move it up a little bit like this. From the bottom, let's make this 25, so it just goes a little bit up there, 35, and this looks perfect. So now we need to actually add this border radius for this to be 10, so the corners are now rounded. All right, let's also add a little bit of box shadow as well. So I was doing the CSS version. It is shadow color, colors.black here. All right, and then we have this shadow offset with the width and height for that. What was it? Width 0 and a height of 1. And then down here we have this shadow opacity of 0.25, and let's go with a shadow radius of 2 maybe, and also elevation for the Android, and that's 3. So right now you can see we got a customized shadow right here. Actually, it still looks weird to me for some unknown reasons. Let's go with -15 or -10. Probably let's change this to 40. Well, 38 sounds better. All right, so now that looks perfect. And now as the final step, we also need to customize this one a little bit. So let's just expand this more. In the bottom tab navigator, we need to customize the buttons so that whenever we are heading in here, this is just a little bit rounded, and likewise this one as well. So for that to do, we need to actually say that this one is gonna have this route of home, and this one right here is gonna have this route of settings. All right, so I'm gonna go to custom tab bar button, and then right here let's add those styles. But first of all, we also need to get that route from the props as well. And then right here we are gonna say that border top, so this is which one? This is the active one. So border top left radius, and if the route is equal to home, if route is equal to home, then that is going to be 10, otherwise it is set to be 0. All right, now save that, and then if I click that, and we are in the home. Well, that was not supposed to be for this actually. Yeah, that's actually supposed to be for this button wrapper right here. Is that it? Let me think. Yeah, well, actually that is for this too. All right, and then save it. then now if I go back here, you can now see that this is actually working a little bit. And for this one, we don't want to do anything right now, but then if we are there, this is going to be border top right radius if this is equal to settings. All right, now I go back, you can see we are getting that rounded shape there. All right, that's perfect. And now for the unselected button, we're gonna have the same styles. So now, well, again, I was just supposed to add the same style here. Actually, this is inactive button. So right here, I'm gonna add this border top left radius, depending if the route is equal to home, then that's gonna be 10, otherwise it is 0. All right, and likewise, this is gonna be for the border top right radius. If it is equal to settings, then that's 10, otherwise 0. Now you can see this looks perfectly fine, exactly how I shown you guys in the demo. All right, so that's perfect. So now let's also add that custom drawer as well. So I'm gonna close all of these from here, and then down here there's this drawer navigator, and to achieve that specific style which has that cover photo and the user profile, we need to go here and create another custom component. That's the drawer content, giving it this props, and call this custom drawer. Let's see, custom drawer component, like so, and again pass in all the props here, save it. I'm gonna actually call it only custom drawer. All right, so let's just copy that and then create this component as well. So this is custom drawer.js. So here we're gonna create it this way, and let's make sure that we import it right here. There we go. And then in the custom drawer, again, we need to import some things like the drawer content scroll view, I believe, and the drawer list item, or drawer item list. Well, see, drawer item list, there it is. Okay, so now let's wrap this entire thing within this drawer scroll view with these 3 dots right there. Well, that's the props. And then again, let's just go to here, create a view, and then in this place, let's add that drawer item list component. All right, let's get rid of that and go back here, click that, and perfect. So if I just comment this out, you can see what's gonna happen. Now the drawer is empty. All right, so you're gonna want to add this again so that we get that drawer back again right here. And now in the drawer content scroll view, this is how we are going to actually change this style. So image background, again, the source for that is gonna be images.bg pattern, I believe. All right, and then within here, I'm gonna also go with this image. This again, images dot user, and yep, that's it. Don't forget to import this right here, and then add some style for this one here. It's got, oops, it's got this height of like 140, and save it. And if I go back here, it says can find variable image. Well, why is that? Let's see in the constants, it's user bg pattern, can't find the variable image. Reload it again. All right, and now if I go back, so now it works perfect. And now we need to style this user image right here. So style, it's styles.user image, and down here user image, we're gonna add some styles for that. Let's gonna have a width of like 110. It's gonna have a height of 110. Then let's also make this rounded, so it has a border radius of 110 divided by 2. and that's also going to have a position of absolute. In this case, from the left, it's going to have that width divided by 2, negative 110. So we need to import this width. So get a width of this screen, we're going to have to import the platform, and then down here const of width, that's equal to platform dot what am I doing? This is dimensions, and this is dimensions dot get the screen, and this screen has got the width and the height. For now we only need this width. All right, so now let's see. So this was perfectly fine. We just need to position in the bottom and add a little bit of space between these two. So now from the bottom, it is like negative 110 divided by 2. So that should now hopefully go toward the bottom right there, and style this a little bit. So in this case, this is the drawer list wrapper, and let's just copy that and add a little bit of style for that. So from the margin top, this is 110 divided by 2 plus some additional styles, additional space, which is that 10. Okay, it can't find this. Okay, yeah, styles dot drawer list wrapper, and go back here. Then now you should see that we have added that space. So I did a little bit of math in here, nothing really fancy. This is actually half of the height of this image plus 10, which that space that we wanted there. Basically, if you want to go the other way around, this divided by 2, that's 55, and that's a result 65 right there, which can achieve the very same result. And let's also add this border that I forgot to add right there. So border width is 4, and also the border color, in this case it's going to be colors dot white, and save it. And if I go back, you can now see that it looks perfectly fine. If you want, you can add some shadow or stuff like that, but I'll go right this. It looks really nice. All right, so we created this custom drawer, created this bottom tab navigator and customized it. And as the final step, we need to also add a header right here, and then a burger menu, which is gonna then open. Clicking that is gonna open the drawer navigator. All right, so I'm gonna close all of these, and then let's see, where do we have to add that? That's in the bottom tab navigator, probably right here. And then I'll say header shown and set this to be true. So now let's see. Yeah, the header is now showing up. Well, basically in here we said that header shown is false, and as a result all of the header for all of these screens were set to false and they were not showing up. But for the screen, since we want that to be shown, so that's why we have this header shown set to true, and now that's shown. But we still don't want this settings navigator title right there. So how do we do that? Is tab bar, actually it is this header tab header. Well, let's see. Oh, actually that's title, I think. Yeah, that's title. Now go back here. Yeah, so now it's the title, and now we set it to settings, and the only thing we need to do right now is to add that header or the title right here, which is this header right. So header right, and then this is again gonna get that color. Well, I don't know if it's gonna get that in here actually. Let's see anyway. And it's gonna return an icon. Again, I'm gonna go down here. All right, and copy this. Then paste it right here. And let's also import that at the very top. Well, that's icon from the ion icon. So I just need to change this to be icon. Okay. And let's also import the platform from the React Native right here. Save that and go back. Then let's see if that's being shown. Perfect. So now we also need to wrap that within this touchable opacity as well. So this is touchable opacity. All right, and then down here, let's wrap this within this touchable opacity, and then put all of these up like right there. And then down here, let's add a little bit of style like margin right. It's going to be 10. We don't need all of these in here, so I'll just get rid of that. Let's see, and in here on press, let's say that open clicking that navigation dot open drawer. And since navigation is not there, so let's import that navigation down here. Navigation that's equal to use navigation. Whoops, use navigation. And then now what? All the way down, we don't get that error. If I click that, you can see that now the drawer is opened. You also have this navigation.close drawer. Okay, there's this close drawer and also this toggle drawer as well. But for now, we are only going to deal with the open drawer, and that open clicking, that's going to open this. And yeah, so that was it for this video, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this, and if you did, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and turn on the bell notification for more such videos like this, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching.